La palabra.
Thank you. Okay, hi everybody. I'm Stephanie from Germany. I'm the author of a book called Schulfrei, which was the first book that was published, or one of the first books that was published in German on home education. And I was asked to present a little bit what is the present situation in Germany. I'll start with the good news, because the good news is that we are actually experiencing change in Germany. That does not mean that the legal situation has changed. The legal situation is still that it's practically illegal to home educate your child in Germany. But I won't go over it all because Karen Kern presented it on the first European Home Education Conference that was held in 2011, and it's all on YouTube, so you can go and hear her presentation too. So it's still, the laws still say that there's no such thing as home education in Germany. And I can tell you, I am so furious about this, because I don't get why Germany should be so different from other countries. And I'll explain why. Because I have lived in Canada for 2 years. And home educating in Canada is just a normal educational choice. It's like sending your child to a Montessori school or opting for a Waldorf school. I don't know if you have many of those in Spain, but it's just one choice you can make, either public school or a private school or home educating. And everybody knew what it was. Everybody had a neighbor or a cousin or somebody at work who was home educating their children. So you didn't even have to explain what it is. And when I tell people in Germany about home education, they are just appalled. And they say things like, "But you have to go to school to learn something," or "But they need to develop social skills, and that's why they have to go to school." And then in Canada, when I talk about home education in Germany, what is the situation in Germany, Canadian people are just as appalled. They also go, "But that's not possible." But their reason is completely different, because they say this is not possible because they think, how can the state claim the right to tell me or to tell my family how I should educate my children? So it's exactly the vice versa. And in British Columbia, where I lived, the full responsibility for the education lies with the family. So you don't have to follow a state curriculum. You have to do no testing, nothing. And what's even better, you even got funded for home educating your child. So we were enrolled in a long distance school, and you received over $1,000 CAN per year for home educating your child. That's at the time it was a little over 700 euros. And you receive that. You can spend it on books, on other learning material. You could spend it on a ski pass. Or entry to museums, anything that's educational, you could spend that money on. And as far as I can tell, this attitude towards home education hasn't led to national educational mayhem or anything. The school system hasn't broken down in Canada. So everybody has the right to choose home education freely in Canada. And still, even though that is the situation, the estimates are that 97.5% of the children still go to school. So there's 2.5 children max that choose home education. So no system will break down if you open it, if you give people the choice. So I'm thinking, why is Germany so different? Why is it, if they would open the possibility, if they would legalize home education in Germany, why should it be so different? Why should things go differently than in Canada and many other countries? Why is there such a panic reaction? What we often hear is, the argument we're presented with is that would lead to parallel societies. I don't even know what they mean by that. But, so we would get parallel societies if children are not socialized in the school. Well, I think we already have parallel societies right now, because one is in the school setting, and the other one is the real world outside. So I think we have parallel societies. What we are experiencing in Germany is there is definitely a need for an alternative to public and private schools. Many kids are not thriving in schools, and there is a noticeable growth. I've spoken with representatives from different organizations in Germany, and also people that are home educating and are serving as a sort of local contact person. And all of them have reported back to me that there's more interest. They get more questions through emails or phone calls of people asking, okay, what can we do to home educate our kids in spite of the laws? That's often, it's families with kids that are not yet of compulsory schooling age, but they're already looking for ways what they could do or how they could do it if they wanted to home educate their kids. What I can speak mostly about my local group, or our local group that we have where I live. We meet, or we have been meeting regularly once a month, more or less, for over 2 years. And sometimes people come from as far away as Luxembourg or Belgium, and they travel quite far. Like some people have drives of 2 hours or even more to get to our meetings. And the attendance is not bad. Our record has been, last year before Christmas, we had a meeting with 46 home educators there. That's counting parents and children. So it's definitely a rising movement. And there was also a meeting in February where people from all over Germany came to, in the east of Germany. That was a whole weekend. And there were about 120 home educators there. And that's not counting infants and babies. So the idea is definitely spreading and growing. Still, quite a few families leave the country and move somewhere else. The most common choices right now for German families being Austria, the Alsace region in France, German-speaking part of Belgium, because there's a small part where they speak German, and Poland, mainly because families like to stay close to Germany, and we have borders with all these countries. And also a fair number of families are now going to move to England. Other families have found their own personal solutions. There are ways that I'm not going to talk to length right now. But a few families commute between a foreign country and their home in Germany, so they're traveling a fair amount of the year, just not to be in Germany, so they don't fall under the compulsory schooling law. Yeah, and I'm definitely hoping for a change in Germany, because that would give us the possibility of actually concentrating on the education again. Because right now, so much energy is going into finding ways how you could do it in spite of the laws, or finding ways for a family, where shall we move? Do we move to a different country? Do we find a way of doing it within Germany? And it would be so much better if you could put all that energy that you're spending there into actually doing educational stuff with your child and helping them learn at home. But a lot of energy is going into the legal questions right now. But we're seeing development. More and more people are interested, and more people are seeking advice. And just the mere fact that there are actually organizations you can address, and that there are active local groups of home educators who are forming. There's different cities in Germany that we already have an active home education group, or they're just beginning to form. And that's so different from 10 years ago. Because 10 years ago, it was just single families spread out all over Germany that you actually had to look for. And now with the internet and the networking that we can do through the internet, we're getting together a lot more. And the media coverage we have found is a lot more frequent and also a lot more positive than it was 10 years ago. And we have an increasing number actually of presentations and talks on the subject all over Germany with favorable feedback, as André Stern is going to talk later today. And he will tell you because he's doing some of those talks in Germany. And also this year we'll have the first big home education festival in Germany. That's going to be called the Schulfrei Festival. It's going to be held from September 5th to 8th in the north of Germany, close to a place called Hildesheim. You're all welcome to come there. I'd be happy to see lots of you there. So to sum things up, I have high hopes that when we come here again for the next European conference, we'll even have more wonderful news about the development in Germany. And hopefully also good news from all the other countries. So that's what I have to say right now about Germany.